Hi, this video is going to go over where the graph of sine and cosine come from. But before we do that, you should know that trig functions are periodic. Because if you were to go around the unit circle, or any circle, after one circle, you're kind of done and you start to repeat around the circle again. And then after another 360 degrees, we repeat around the circle again. And because we keep repeating around the same circle, we are going to get the same values and the same coordinates to plot our graphs. So this is a unit circle. It is centered at the origin 0, 0. It has a radius of 1, so we go out 1 in each direction. So I have my coordinates. I wrote them a little bigger for us to see. And we're going to unwrap the unit circle for my x coordinates. Now, my x-axis is going to be my radians. So at 0 radians, my x-coordinate is going to be 1. So I'm going to plot the point 0, 1. Then I'm going to go on to pi over 2 radians. At pi over 2 radians, up top, my x-coordinate is 0. I'm going to go to pi radians. At pi radians, my x-coordinate is -1. That would be here. And at 3 pi over 2 radians, down below, my x-coordinate is 0. At 2 pi radians, my x-coordinate again is 1. So now we're going to connect it. And what I don't want you to do, because it's a pet peeve, do not do this. That is a parabola. That's a U. Also, don't do this. Circles are round. You should have curvy graphs. What we're going to do is make it a round top, round it on the bottom, and make another round top. So it's not necessarily a U, it's a U that's fanning outwards up top. And now I'm going to do the same thing, but for my y coordinates. At 0 radians, my y coordinate is 0. At pi over 2 radians, my y coordinate is 1. At pi radians, my y coordinate is 0. At 3 pi over 2 radians, my y coordinate is -1. And at a full circle, 2 pi, again, my y coordinate is 0. And we are not doing this because it's a circle and it's round. We make the top half of the circle and then the bottom half of the circle. So now we have these two equations, or graphs. And if you remember, on a unit circle, your x-coordinate is cosine. So this is the graph of cosine. I should probably use theta, that way we don't get confused with our x's. And this one is our y-coordinate, and on a unit circle, our y-coordinate matches with sine. So now that's how we get the graphs of sine and cosine. And we should know that these graphs do continue on because they're periodic. You would just repeat the same formula, same pattern. This would continue up and down, up and down, up and down. So please notice how each of these graphs have 5 main points, because we really care about only 3 values on this graph. We care about the maximums, we care about the minimums, and we care about the midlines. That's where we plot all of our points. Everything else you just fill in with a curvy line. Now your domain, we're going to say, is from 0 to 2 pi. And we put hard brackets because it equals 0 and it equals 2 pi. Yes, this graph does go on forever, and that would be all real numbers. However, one cycle is from 0 to 2 pi. Your range, we go from -1 to +1, and we equal those values. It shouldn't be a surprise that we go from -1 to +1 because this is a unit circle. The radius is 1, so 1 up and 1 down. We are increasing from there to there, and that's going to be from 0 to pi over 2. However, at pi over 2, you are at a turning point. And if you are at a turning point, you're going up and then you're coming down. At the very top of the hill, you are neither going up nor down. You kind of just stopped and you're flat. So we are going to put a parentheses because you're not truly going up or down at that particular point. Now there is another section on this graph where you are going upwards. That's going to be over here. And that coordinate starts from a minimum 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi. And again, you are going to use around parentheses because at the minimum you are neither going up nor down. But you do use a hard bracket for 2 pi because really you continue going up. So at 2 pi, it is in the process of still increasing. And because you have 2 intervals, we're going to put a U there. It stands for this interval and this interval. Your decreasing intervals are in the middle. We are decreasing from pi over 2 to 3 pi over 2. Try to see if you can do cosine by yourself and then watch the rest of the video. Your domain is still going to be from 0 to 2 pi. Your range is still going to be from -1 to +1. However, your increasing intervals, we are going up from there to there. That is from pi to 2 pi. And we are heading downwards from 0 to pi. Now there is a special way to remember which graph is which, and what we are going to do is say that the pattern for sine is that sine always starts at the midline. See, we're starting at the middle of the graph, not at the x-axis. Because remember, if you have a vertical shift upwards, if your midline is at 3, then you're starting at 3. Cosine starts at the max. We're starting at the maximum point of 1, and that you would have to remember. Personally, to me, if you look at these two graphs, and if you turn your head sideways, cosine looks like a weird C, and sine looks like a backwards S. That's the best I got. Otherwise, remember, sine starts at the midline, cosine starts at the max.